Good morning, Donnie. Thank you so much for being here. We just wrapped up an engagement with your leaders, and you were the sponsor for Stakeholder Center Coaching. And as a sponsor, you are the leader that's behind the leaders that are going through the process. And a lot of folks think about coaching, but they may not realize that there's usually an advocate for it that's supporting the team and the growth within there. So, one of the first questions I'm curious to hear about for folks that are listening and wanting to learn more is, as a sponsor, what kind of thoughts or feelings were you having before we were able to connect and before we began to kind of engage in stakeholder center coaching?
Well, some of our story, it's that we've had 4 people that have retired, all of whom had 20 years or more with me and with our United Way. And so we were in a time of transition. About a year or so ago, the board approached me with some concerns, I think, on their part of, wow, what in the world are we going to do? And so at the time they asked me, did I have any leaders in mind to take my place if and when I retire? Because I'm also getting of that age. And so I told them, first of all, that my intention was to be around probably 3 to 5 years, maybe more if it's still fun. So, but I did answer their question, which was, did I have anybody in mind? And the people that I've always had in mind and who took the lead when I was out were retiring. And so I had to answer no, and that concerned me. And because I really do want to prepare leaders for the future and give them some options. And so as I thought about it, there were 2 people that came to my mind, and we redid our organizational chart in a pretty major way. Historically, I had a bunch of folks who really liked doing what they did, and they did it well, but they all reported to me. So we changed the organizational chart. We changed the idea of how we were going to do business and who was going to be prepared. And in that thinking, I thought of you because we've been friends for a long time. And so some people might not have that relationship with you, but I did. And that's certainly, it's a relationship business. And so knowing your skills and your talents, I thought of another guy as well who is in the United Way arena, but I felt like reaching out to you was important because they needed more than just to understand United Way. They needed to understand leadership a little bit more. And for me to be able to meet with them was good, but they needed more than that. And so that's when I reached out to you.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for trusting me with your team.
Absolutely.
They're extremely talented, and it was a treat to get to work with them. So, we kicked this off actually during COVID. You guys had COVID, you were wrapping it up and recovering, and we did a session. It was a kickoff during a Zoom call. So we were able to kind of do training that way and kick it off. So your team really stepped up to the plate, and they're recovering from COVID. We're implementing this. We create this process where I check in with them at least monthly, and then we wrap it up. And I'm kind of curious, at the end of this, we just wrapped it up last week. What were kind of your conclusion around thoughts and about the experience, seeing where you were, 6 months ago and where you are now? Have things changed for the better? And if so, could you talk about that?
Absolutely. I've seen a whole lot of development in them. I think their opportunities to talk with you have been helpful, but also there are opportunities that you kind of encourage them to make with other folks in leadership positions in our community have helped them as well. And as they've shared with me and as they shared in the exit, their intent is to continue those conversations with you as well as with the other leaders that they've been in contact with. So it's been a real growth thing for them. It's been a stretching thing for them, as I shared it in the meeting, that they really are helping me to think of new ways to do business and new ways to lead. They've been challenged themselves, but they've also challenged me. So that's been a good thing for me and for our organization. So one of the things that I've shared with them is that for a while, and I've been here 29 years, for a while, I felt pretty much like a Lone Ranger. And even though I had people that I could talk to, people that had been here for 20 years with me, they were not in the management level. They were more in the friendship and ability to discuss things with. But now I'm sharing responsibilities with them. And so it really has been a load off of me to be able to share those responsibilities, to see them take them on, and to see them excel at those. And really, to your credit and to the other folks who have been involved, it's really helped our organization.
Thank you. And as a sponsor, how time consuming was it for you throughout this engagement?
I've invested some hours, not huge amounts. And that's been one of the great things, is that because you've invested time in them, and because these other leaders outside of our organization have invested time with them, I can say that my time investment has been minimal compared to the amount of gain that they've experienced and that our organization has experienced because of those relationships and because of the leadership training. Thank
you. Also, if there's somebody that's on the fence, they're in your shoes, and they're on the fence. They're not sure if stakeholder center coaching or working with me is something that they want, is a good fit for right now. What would you recommend for them?
Well, they need to get off the fence. They need to get with it and go with it. And I think they'll be very pleased and see growth within their own organization or their own work environment. There's nothing but good to be had. Great.
And as we kind of wrap this up, I've got two last questions. Would you use this style of leadership coaching, stakeholder center coaching? Would you use that again? And why would you do that if yes?
Gonna have to say I've got some other folks in mind already within my organization that we're going to be talking about. So absolutely, we're going to continue. We have thought of some other ways for the current two staff that have been involved with it to reach out to some other leadership venues, but this is a great one, and it's a great start for them. And so absolutely, not only think about it, yes, we're going to do it, and we'll be talking more.
Wonderful. And then last question, for those folks who are not, have not worked with me in the past, they don't know my style. You mentioned that, we've had a business relationship in the past and have been able to kind of work together over the years. For those who haven't had that experience and they're kind of wondering, well, what's it like working with me? Would you mind kind of explaining what your thoughts were a little bit more on that?
Like I said, I've been here 29 years. There have been many times when I have reached out to other folks and they have helped. I've had 29 different boards. And so I've worked with lots of volunteers in our community. And Katie, I can tell you that one of the things I've noticed about you is even in this conversation, your style of saying thank you is sincere, but it's also refreshing, and it encourages me to lead better. I've watched some of the things that you do, and so even though I didn't have to pay for me, I got benefit out of it as well, because just watching the way you lead, the questions you ask, the encouragement that you give, it's something that folks can generate enthusiasm from and get from you. And your experience in the banking world and in the business world has helped carry over to the nonprofit world. And so for my world, which is the nonprofit one, it's been a great experience, and I hope other people take advantage of it. We need it in this area.
Yes, so from a nonprofit perspective, I definitely want to keep helping and serving in that way. So Donnie, thank you so much for your encouragement to have me work with your team. Are there any other thoughts or anything you want to share before we wrap it up?
Love the artwork in the background, and love your smile, and appreciate you and the work you do. So thanks a lot, and hope we get many new recruits for this thing. So as I said, in Kershaw County, my small world, nonprofits need this type of growth and development, and because it's a different time, and you're helping us adapt to it, and I appreciate it.
Thank you for everything, Donnie. I really appreciate it. It is a treat to work with you and your team, and I look forward to more of it. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Kate.